Hey guys, it's Road Dog Does Politics here, back with another video. This is going to be a sort of COVID related video, but I want to sort of talk about something else as well, which I've been thinking about for the past few days in a very generic way, in that England, and I mean sort of England in particular, in comparison to Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, England is sick. And I'm not just sort of referring to like the issues we've been having with COVID at the moment, because obviously that is like a big thing in the news, and the whole issues around restrictions around Christmas, blah blah blah, because that is also happening. But more generally, I think England is ill and has been for a very long time. Not just in the past 11 years under this Tory government that has just caused untold damage to this country, due to the way that they've handled Brexit and COVID, along with austerity and other things. But also their relationship with the media in this country. And you could argue ever since Margaret Thatcher, which was a good 30, 40 years ago now, the narratives that have been feeding the people of this country have just been so dark and so damaging and so horrific and poisonous. You've got the likes of the Mail, the Sun, the Telegraph, the Express, who are all like big Tory backing newspapers owned by millionaire media moguls. Rupert Murdoch is a big example. And Lord Rothermere, who have just got such a stranglehold over this country, have done for many, many years, just dictate what they want people to think and how they want people to vote in this country. And it's less so in other devolved governments and devolved other countries like Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland, who'd I'd argue have a slightly more liberal and progressive approach to their policy making. But in this country, where we've had largely conservative rule for a very long time, and if it hasn't been conservative, it's been quite a neoliberal Labour government as well, a very centrist sort of Murdoch-backed Labour government under Tony Blair, and it's been this way for a very long time. And I think that we need to have a massive overhaul of how things are run in this country, and a wholesale reform of many, many different aspects of this country. So for one thing, you've got land reform, where I think that huge parts of the countryside which are currently under private ownership should be brought back into public ownership. Also voting reform, so where we have proportional representation instead of first past the post. I think we need to completely get rid of the House of Lords, and we need to have a complete reform of Parliament, and completely rethink how that works. And we need to fund public services in this country so that they're never on the brink of collapse like they are at the moment. We need to stop constantly trying to privatise things just for profit, because that isn't how society should be run. It should be run in the interests of the people. And I honestly think that we were so close in 2017 to having that opportunity, where we had Theresa May or Jeremy Corbyn. And I know Corbyn is a controversial figure, and I know that he was not liked by many people, including Labour members, Labour voters. But for goodness sake, just look at what we have now. Like, an absolute shower. And what we could have had. We could have had a genuine socialist agenda, whereby, you know, we could have hospitals properly funded, doctors and nurses and health staff and social care being properly funded. We could have, you know, nationalised rail, and I just think that a lot of that, the reason why we couldn't have that was because it was just completely laughed out of town by the pressures of the right-wing media that we have, that are just unbelievably toxic and disgusting. The bile that they come out with, whether it's during referendums or elections on the most part, and like the hatred that they try and force people to like, they shove down their throats, this hatred for the other. It's never the government that does wrong. It's always other people. It's always immigrants, women, the gay community, you know, black people. It's never the government that are at fault. It's always, look over there. Oh, it's somebody else that's causing you bother. It's the reason why you can't get a job. It's the reason why you have to wait 7 hours at the hospital. It's the reason why you have to wait for an appointment. It's never the government that are failing in their duty to look after you. It's always that other person. And that isn't right. So yeah, the sickness in this country, in England, has just reached a point where something needs to change, and we need to stop treating, you know, anyone that's got different ideas or alternative thoughts, and anyone that's on the left, as like scapegoats, or you know, vilifying them for being too radical or like Marxist or socialist, because that's not the right approach either. And that's also partly due to the way that the media treat, again, other people who have different opinions and different thoughts to themselves, because the Conservatives and the people who support them believe that nothing should change, things should stay exactly how they are, and we don't want anyone to be thinking we should, you know, fund public services more, or, you know, people should be treated better, and you know, we should have, you know, more immigrants coming to this country. We shouldn't have any of that, because, you know, that would mean that people, you know, don't vote for us anymore, and we don't want people not voting for us. So yeah, things need to change, folks. England needs to have a hard look at itself in the mirror, because this like post-imperialist, like post-empire crap that we seem to have this ongoing like rose-tinted relationship with, like, needs to stop. It's long past time that we got over the whole "we won the war" shite, because, you know, that's only a half truth. Like, we won it with the help of many other countries, many other Commonwealth countries, but, you know, we need to get past it, look to the future. What sort of country does England want to be? And that's the choice that we need to make for the future. So yeah, that's the video, folks. I'd appreciate if you gave this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you fancy. And yeah, have a lovely Christmas if I didn't see you before. And Happy New Year. See you later, guys.